Hey, how's it going? Narrative Mindsetters. I'm your boy GT. How is it going? In today's episode, I want to talk about accepting who you are from the beginning and moving on from there. I was in an accident when I was like 12 years old. Got in an accident, had a head injury, all kinds of stuff. It kind of knocked me back almost like a third grade reading level. So got a couple scars and things of that nature. And there's, at one point in time, I was, kind of mad every time I looked in the mirror, but I had to start accepting who I was. And I had to start being happy with that person before I could move on, because I noticed a lot of people, they're wearing like a costume, like a mask or something, and their whole operation is based around that mask. And if you don't love yourself underneath, then at one point in time, somebody's going to expose that, and then you're going to be upset. And it's like you have to start. It starts there. It starts with loving yourself. I moved on, and I'm a much better person now about dealing with it because I've done the work on myself. I could care less what other people say because you can say what you want to say about me, but one thing you're not going to say, one thing you can't say because you can't prove it. You can't say that I'm not going to be a better person tomorrow than I was today. You can't say that I'm not a better person the last time you saw me than I am right now. And the reason that is because I keep moving. I was in Kalamazoo, and I was starving. I wasn't hungry, as they say. I was starving. So, once I moved to Detroit, then it fed into that hunger, and I just took off running. And ain't stopped ever since. It fed into my just wanting more. Wanting to be more, wanting to be better. But it started with me accepting the person who I am, me being happy with the person that I am, no matter what anybody else thinks. And what fuels me feeling better about myself first is because I know that there are people out there who would love to be in my situation. There are people out there, even people I saw on the internet, that have gotten burned, that are missing hands, that are, they have to learn how to do things with no legs and just all kinds of stuff. So how dare I, feel sorry for myself because I got a couple scratches. I can still walk, got all my fingers, got my hands, my feet. I can still walk. I can still work. I can still, get clean. I mean, don't get me wrong now. I'm still confident. I can still pull them, like I did before I got in an accident. Don't get it twisted now. But, how dare me, not like the person I see when I get up in the mirror. I spent way too much time and way too much energy on this person. So therefore, I learned to love myself. And that's where it starts. Learn to love you first. That's it for this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And as always, follow this podcast and help me grow. Have a good one.